Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into something really exciting, 5 habits that literally transformed my life in just 1 week. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, a whole life change in 7 days? But stick with me here, because I promise you, these aren't your typical wake up at 5 a.m. and do 100 push-ups kind of habits. These are practical, doable changes that anyone can implement, and the results? Well, they shocked even me. So, grab a notebook, get comfy, and let's jump right in. Habit 1. The power of the present moment. All right, let's kick things off with something that sounds simple, but is actually pretty profound: living in the present moment. I know, you've probably heard this a million times before, but hear me out, because this isn't just some fluffy concept, it's a game changer. For the longest time, I was that person always dwelling on the past or anxiously planning for the future. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. But here's the thing: while I was busy reliving old regrets or stressing about tomorrow, I was missing out on the only thing that really matters right now. So, I decided to make a conscious effort to focus on the present. How? Like, when I'm having my morning coffee, I'm not scrolling through my phone or making mental to-do lists. I'm just having coffee, feeling the warmth of the mug, smelling the aroma, tasting each sip. It sounds trivial, but let me tell you, it's not. This simple act of being present started to spill over into other areas of my life. I found myself really listening when people talked to me. Instead of just waiting for my turn to speak, I started noticing little things around me that I'd always been too distracted to see before. And you know what? The ancient Stoics were all over this idea way before it became a trendy hashtag. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. This guy was literally the emperor of Rome. Talk about a busy schedule, right? But he understood the importance of living in the present. He wrote, "Every moment think steadily as a Roman and a man to do what thou hast in hand with perfect and simple dignity and feeling of affection and freedom and justice, and to give thyself relief from all other thoughts. And thou wilt give thyself relief, if thou doest every act of thy life as if it were the last." Now, I'm not saying you need to dramatically think every moment might be your last, but there's something powerful about approaching each task, each conversation, each moment with your full attention and intention. The results? By the end of the week, I felt more grounded, more connected to my life and the people in it. My stress levels dropped because I wasn't constantly worrying about the future. And honestly, I just felt more alive. Habit 2. The daily brain dump. All right, moving on to habit number 2. And this one's a real sanity saver. The daily brain dump. Now, don't let the name fool you. This isn't about emptying your mind completely. It's about getting all those swirling thoughts, ideas, and worries out of your head and onto paper. Here's how it works. Every evening, I sit down with a notebook and just write. Everything that's on my mind goes on the page. Tasks I need to do, problems I'm trying to solve, random ideas, even things that are bugging me. There's no structure, no filter, just a stream of consciousness. At first, it felt a bit weird. I mean, who wants to revisit all the stuff that's been cluttering their mind all day? But stick with me here, because the benefits are huge. First off, it's incredibly cathartic. It's like you're physically removing all these thoughts from your brain and putting them somewhere else. It's amazing how much mental space this frees up. Secondly, it helps you process your day. Sometimes, Just the act of writing something down can help you figure out a solution, or realize that what seemed like a huge problem really isn't that big of a deal. And finally, it sets you up for a better tomorrow. By getting all these thoughts out, you're less likely to lie in bed at night with your mind racing. Plus, you've got a ready-made to-do list for the next day. The Stoic philosopher Seneca was a big fan of this kind of self-reflection. He wrote, "I will keep constant watch over myself, and most usefully will put each day up for review. For this is what makes us evil, that none of us looks back upon our own lives. We reflect upon only that which we are about to do, and yet our plans for the future descend from the past." Now, Seneca was talking about reviewing your day, but I find that doing a brain dump achieves a similar purpose. It's like a daily check-in with yourself. After a week of doing this, the change was noticeable. I was sleeping better because I wasn't lying in bed thinking about all the things I needed to do. My days felt more organized because I always knew what I needed to focus on. And honestly, I just felt mentally lighter. Habit 3, the 5-minute rule. Okay, habit number 3 is something I like to call the 5-minute rule. And trust me, it's a total game changer when it comes to productivity and procrastination. Here's how it works. Whenever you're faced with a task you're dreading or putting off, commit to working on it for just 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes. Anyone can do anything for 5 minutes, right? Now, here's the cool part. More often than not, once you get started, you'll find yourself wanting to continue beyond those 5 minutes. It's like you've broken through that initial resistance, and suddenly the task doesn't seem so daunting anymore. I started applying this to everything. That pile of laundry I'd been ignoring. 5 minutes. That work report I'd been procrastinating on. 5 minutes. That workout I'd been putting off. You guessed it, 5 minutes. And let me tell you, it was like magic. Tasks that had been hanging over my head for days or even weeks suddenly started getting done. And even if I did stop after 5 minutes, hey, that was 5 minutes more progress than I had before. This idea actually aligns pretty well with what the Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught. He said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, decide who you want to be in this case. Someone who gets things done and then take the necessary actions, even if they're small. The 5-minute rule is all about taking that first step, no matter how small. It's about building momentum. And let me tell you, after a week of applying this rule, I felt like a productivity machine. Things that had been on my to-do list forever were finally getting crossed off. I felt more in control of my day, and that feeling of overwhelm, it started to melt away. Habit 4. The gratitude 3. All right, we're on to habit number 4, and this one might sound a bit cliche, but stick with me because it's powerful stuff. I call it the gratitude 3. Here's how it works. Every morning, before you do anything else, think of 3 things you're grateful for. They can be big things, like your health or your family, or small things, like the comfy bed you just slept in, or the cup of coffee you're about to enjoy. Now, I know what you're thinking. Gratitude journaling? Really? That's your big life-changing habit? But hear me out, because there's more to this than you might think. First off, it sets the tone for your entire day. Starting your morning by focusing on the good things in your life puts you in a positive mindset right from the get-go. It's like putting on a pair of glasses that helps you see the good in everything. Secondly, It trains your brain to look for the positive. You know how when you buy a new car, suddenly you start seeing that model everywhere? It's because your brain is now tuned to notice it. The same thing happens with gratitude. When you make a habit of looking for things to be grateful for, you start noticing more and more positive things in your life. And here's the kicker: it doesn't just make you feel good, it actually changes your brain. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude can increase dopamine and serotonin, those feel-good neurotransmitters that boost your mood. The Stoics were big on this idea of appreciating what you have. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." That's exactly what the Gratitude 3 is all about. It's about recognizing the value in the things we often take for granted. After a week of doing this, I noticed a real shift in my outlook. I found myself complaining less and appreciating more. I was more patient with others because I was focused on the good things about them. And honestly, I just felt happier. Habit 5, the daily learning ritual. And now we've come to our 5th and final habit, one that I believe has the power to completely transform your life over time. I call it the daily learning ritual. Here's the deal. Every single day, without exception, I committed to learning something new. Now, I'm not talking about going back to school or taking on some massive course. I'm talking about dedicating just 15 to 30 minutes a day to expanding your knowledge or skills. It could be anything: reading a chapter of a non-fiction book, watching an educational YouTube video, practicing a new language on a free app, or even just looking up the answer to a question you've always wondered about. The key is consistency. It's not about how much you learn each day, but about making learning a daily habit. Now, why is this so powerful? Well, for starters, it keeps your mind sharp and engaged. In a world where it's so easy to fall into passive consumption of social media or mindless entertainment, actively learning something new every day is like a workout for your brain. Secondly, it builds your knowledge and skills over time. It might not feel like much day to day, but over weeks, months, and years, this habit can lead to massive personal growth. Think about it. If you learn just one new thing every day, that's 365 new pieces of knowledge or skills every year. And finally, it boosts your confidence and sense of accomplishment. There's something incredibly satisfying about knowing you've expanded your understanding of the world each day. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus was a big advocate for continuous learning. He said, "Don't just say you have read books. Show that through them, you have learned to think better, to be a more discriminating and reflective person." Books are the training weights of the mind. They are very helpful, but it would be a bad mistake to suppose that one has made progress simply by having internalized their contents. What Epictetus is saying here is that true learning isn't just about absorbing information, it's about using that information to become a better, more thoughtful person. After a week of this habit, I found myself feeling more curious, more engaged with the world around me. I had more interesting things to talk about in conversations, and I felt a real sense of progress, like I was actively working on becoming a better version of myself. So, there you have it, 5 habits that genuinely changed my life in just 1 week. Let's recap. 1. Living in the present moment. 2. The daily brain dump. 3. 4. The gratitude 3. 5. The daily learning ritual. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. That's great for you, but my life is different. I'm too busy. I've got too much on my plate. And believe me, I get it. Life can be hectic and overwhelming. But here's the thing, these habits don't require you to drastically overhaul your entire life. They don't need hours of your time each day. They're small, simple practices that you can integrate into your existing routine. And that's the beauty of it. These aren't massive, unsustainable changes. They're small tweaks that, when done consistently, can lead to big results. It's like compound interest for your personal growth. Remember what the Stoic philosopher Seneca said: "Life is long if you know how to use it." These habits are all about using your life, your time, your energy, your attention in a more intentional and meaningful way. Now, I'm not saying these habits will solve all your problems or turn you into some kind of superhuman overnight. But what I can say, based on my experience, is that they have the power to shift your perspective, boost your productivity, and increase your overall sense of well-being. And the best part? You can start right now. You don't need any special equipment or training. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You can begin implementing these habits today. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these habits, just one, and commit to trying it for a week. See how it affects your life. And then, if you find it helpful, add another and another. Before you know it, you might just find that your life has changed in ways you never expected. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So take that step. Start small, be consistent, and watch as these tiny habits create big changes in your life. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to hear about your experiences with these habits. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more content like this. And hey, why not share this video with a friend who could use a little life-changing habit in their life? Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, every day is a new opportunity to become the best version of yourself. See you in the next video.